We can't comment on anything. So, as many smart contracts as you want, and you can.
Welcome. I'm Danny Ledke with Dragonchain. Today we have Joe Roets, the CEO of Dragonchain, and today we're going to be talking about current crypto news. Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the crypto space, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm a longtime software architect, so I've been interested in software generically for a long time, focusing mostly on scaling and security and open source. And I came across, through one of my colleagues, Satoshi white paper in 2010. It was obviously really interesting to what we did, and generically very interesting for its effect on software itself as a model. And so we started playing with it a lot. We started building things, worked for different groups, startups, and one thing led to another, went to Disney, built a platform based upon all those things that I had learned, focusing on actually using the technology in business. And we built a platform, and we open sourced it, and now we're here.
So, being in the crypto space, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening and a lot of changes that are happening. One of the things that's piqued my interest is the Libra. And what do you think about, what is the Libra, and what do you think about it?
It's Facebook's stablecoin, I guess, right? And I'm not an expert at it yet, but there are a lot of opportunities, and there are a lot of interesting developments around it, and that's good and bad. There are some things that are, a little bit of a concern with it, of course, being Facebook.
What's the problem with Facebook?
Mostly I would say, and it's just when you step back and you look at it, as a sequence of events that led to this. I mean, it's obvious crypto is interesting for business, and it's obvious that there's a lot of potential value, and if a company can really build something that makes sense, it can be extremely valuable for them. But when you step back and you look at what got them there, it seems to be a little less perception of, here's this value, let's harness it and use it to solve real problems. To me, it looks like they're using it as a distraction. That is, they've gotten in trouble for so many privacy issues. They've been very cavalier with the people's data, and even to the point where they've profited off of other people's data in ways that they weren't supposed to by their own terms. And then you look at censorship. There's a massive amount of censorship. There's questions about whether it's an actual platform or if it's something else. And politically, so they have all these troubles. And into this, instead of fixing, because the thing is, that was interesting to me, that a lot of those things can be fixed. You can put administrative actions on chain, so you can prove that your administrators are following the same policy and procedure for any ban that happens. But instead, no, they don't put that on there. The privacy, they would be a prime candidate for building a proper privacy solution with decentralized identity or some level of self-ownership of your stuff. I mean, they're the ones that could build that and build the best case for it and everything else. But instead, they pushed that whole thing aside, and they're doubling down by taking all of those problems they already have and adding all of the usual suspects, all the banks in, so that what basically they're going to be able to know. In fact, even some of the people who are writing positive articles are talking about this is like the perfect KYC opportunity because it's like we know everything about you and how you're spending your money. And it's crazy to me that they're doing that.
They could run KYC without actually having to run KYC.
Yes. And it's worse. It is even worse because it's called Libra. It's like it's crazy. So
I think it's kind of interesting. I always think about trust is built with consistency over time, and if you look at the opposite of that, that's kind of where Facebook is headed with consistently violating your privacy in those pieces. And so you look at blockchain as an opportunity. I find it hard to see Facebook as the root of the trust of the system itself. But I think it's kind of an interesting opportunity in general as we look at what can companies do as either fast followers or look at like what other the leaders in the industry are doing within blockchain, and how can we replicate some of those things. I think it's actually a nice proof point of Facebook getting together with Stripe and Uber and all of these other organizations and coming together to build more efficiencies and to streamline data sharing and those pieces in a model that could be very interesting depending on how it's implemented. And so I think that leaves a lot of opportunities for businesses out there to do similar type of activities. What do you think?
There's definitely opportunity to leverage it to at least try to provide better value to those people. But at its basis, and I have read that that there is at least some component of governance that it's not all Zuckerberg sitting behind his screen and deciding everything. That it is stretched, but some of the issue is it's stretched to these $10 million partners that are all banks and Uber, and but still it's still not purely decentralized. And it'd be amazing if you could potentially provide some of what we talked about, some of those solutions to that network. But who knows?
What do you think about the $10 million price tag for a node?
I don't know. It's what it is.
I kind of think it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of funny.
It's how they keep their buddies.
I mean, how many people have $10 million just sitting around to do it? It's kind of the 1% of the blockchain people.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting as maybe it leaves open opportunities to fractionalize a node. Maybe you could take that 10 million and do a pool and have individuals and that would always be kind of an interesting use case of how you can fractionalize an asset like a
that would be
$10 million node.
Yeah, no, that would be really neat if it's allowed, to see terms, and I don't know, but that would be pretty cool if you could, get together in a community and put together a node.
Do you think Dragonchain is going to be building on top of Libra? Like, are we going to do interchains or other things with that?
We have spoken to a couple of different people about Interchain to get access to that network.
Wait. Maybe we should explain what Interchain is.
Right. It's interop, so it's basically the ability to transfer state between chains, and we do include other non-chain similar, Tangle and even traditional systems where we're leveraging the power of Dragonchain with these other systems to try to glue and integrate different systems together.
What did you mean by state change? I think that's pretty interesting. Like you're talking about state changing and being able to transfer state between chains. Is that?
Yeah, I mean we see it as an extension of maybe not even an extension, but trying to follow the same philosophy that you have with REST on the internet itself. That is state transfer between client server, between server. That you can have then stateless services, you can have more flexibility between systems, and yet the interesting thing is with blockchain you can track that state. So You can theoretically have a chain on one side that talks to a chain on the other side and transfers only the state that the chain on the other side cares about. It processes it, it can ship it back, it can ship it to another chain. And we also have other pieces which fit very well what you see on traditional internet, where you have a series of state changes when you're going through a process. And if something new comes in, some regulatory thing, something from another department, we need something to happen, you can insert that in the middle of this list of state changes, and the rest of the system doesn't care. But you can add another capability just like you can on the internet. So it's really interesting, and we see that very much as the model, and it fits really well with Dragonchain because the processing is so much cheaper, well, it's a lot more inexpensive than other chains. So you can basically operate it as you would a website 10 years ago, right? So it's a very simple thing, yet you can leverage all the power, of the blockchain itself and other blockchains. So,
How would something like that work with Libra?
Depending on what it's connected to, you could you could do things with payments. I mean, theoretically, you could do things with identity. I mean, the beauty would be if they would abstract some of the some of their graph info. That theoretically, if I could say, "Oh, I'm going to shut off my account, I'm going to export all my data, and we're going to build a system that would segment it and break it into as many factors as possible in Dragon Factor," and now theoretically, with a new account, or if I reopened that account, probably a fat chance that they would delete the data. Maybe GDPR applies, I don't know. Either way, that I could now use those factors to talk to my friends and to make payments and to use that full ecosystem, yet I'm controlling all of my data. That's probably the prime opportunity that we would want to look at, because it's valuable, it's future focused, and it's what people really want, I think.
I like that. It really changes like the dynamics of how you handle data, and even the data models of what we deal with, like the identity, who are we, and even are we who are we who we say we are.
Yeah. You can hide all the political stuff that you said last election. You can you do whatever you want then, right?
Well, to that, cheers, Joe.
Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome wherever in the world you are. Seattle, New York, London, Paris, Seoul, Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, Tokyo. This week, we're featuring Luke Jones, the CEO and co-founder of 1880, a private members club in Singapore. I'm delighted to announce that our Asia headquarters will be based in Singapore. And in Luke's segment, he will share the ethos, vision, mission, the challenges and successes of 1880. Hopefully this will shed light on why Dragonchain has chosen to base its Asia home at 1880. Our office opening in Asia comes at a time when incumbents like Deutsche Bank are forced to lay off 18,000 of its people and announce a 8.3 billion reinvention. Our office will be led by Nicole Lim, Dragonchain's ambassador. It will provide three primary functions. Firstly, there will be a campus for Dragonchain Academy where we'll have workshops, salons for key decision makers, investors, business owners, C-level executives, help them understand and discuss the challenges, the opportunities that blockchain provides. Secondly, it will provide a platform for these conversations from members who have been successful entrepreneurs, innovators, pioneers, to translate their vision and ideas into reality using Dragonchain. Additionally, the office will provide business support and facilitate the adoption of Dragonchain. American companies and brands who want to tap into the lucrative Asia market can do so with the assurance that their product and brand integrity will be protected by Dragonchain's pioneering technology. We'd like to thank Nicole, a founding member of 1880, for helping make this happen, and would like to thank Mark and Luke for giving us a warm welcome, and we look forward to working with you.
Welcome, Dragonchain, to 1880 in Singapore. So 1880 is all about bringing people together, and ultimately what we're trying to do is inspire conversations that make the world a better place. And we try and do that through food and drink, through events, through programming, and by trying to bring like-minded people together. Fundamentally, we believe that if we can bring interesting people with integrity and people who share the same values together, and encourage them to find ways of having conversations, that good things come from it. You know, whether it's business relationships or partnerships or friendships or love or simply just intellectual sort of stimulation. You know, we think that sort of the conduit to that is conversation and connecting interesting people. And so that's the fundamental ethos of what we're about. A lot of business owners are attracted to 1880. I said business owners perhaps more so than startup entrepreneurs. The people who tend to migrate here tend to be a little bit more mature in terms of where they are in their business careers. And there's a big community from the investment world, all the way from angel investors through to family officers, to VCs, but also the private bankers and the wealth managers too. So people who are making investment decisions on where capital gets deployed. And of course, that becomes a very interesting ecosystem. And then at a different sort of strata, I think our members would define themselves as global citizens. And then the other element to throw into the equation is that nearly all of them are trying to leave the world a better place than the one they were born into. So there are a lot of people who are very strong from a philanthropy perspective, or from a social impact, are trying to do good in the world. So that's that's how our members kind of define themselves. I guess reflecting the diversity of the membership, it's everything from Mark Weinstein and and his discussion of the Fire Festival, to Tim Mondavi and his discussion of Opus One wines, to drag queen bingo, to trivia night, and to the Trump and Kim and sort of the debate which happened here in Singapore. Very, very diverse, and more of it becomes member driven because members have specific interests that they want to bring to us. We have a strong blockchain community here within 1880, and that's been a large part of the programming too. So anything which is a particular member interest, and then I guess we're looking at some of the topics which we think are fascinating for the future. So we did a recent salon on the future of education, and that was which is trying to look at what are the skills that our children will need in 10 years' time to be useful in the workplace. We've had a number of salons talking about artificial intelligence, and how that will change the workplace and how that will impact people's jobs and lives and careers. And the founder, Pat Brown of Impossible Foods, was here launching the Impossible Foods a couple of months ago as well. So I guess we're also looking at trends that are impacting the world from a global food supply chain perspective. So a combination of what our members are particularly interested in and some of the things that we think are shaping the future as well. We have ambitions to take the brand outside of Singapore, and I think that we have a big focus here on Southeast Asia, and we think it's interconnectivity of Southeast Asia makes the relevance of 1880 ever important, if you will. So I think what I'm trying to say, we think it's more of a lifestyle brand than a destination. We think it's something that can transport to different countries, to different territories, and we've also started thinking about and exploring what an 1880 concept could be like in a more of a beach environment, for example. Now, the ethos and the values of conversation and deep programming would have to be critical. But we do think about how we could take the elements of the concept here at 1880 into slightly different environments. We're very careful on the brands we work with. Now, we're approached 2 or 3 times a day by brands wanting to work with us, and I understand that we have a very, very rich and diverse and interesting community. But it's also my job to protect that community. So I don't want our members being pimped for every brand under the sun. So we've always been selective, and we're becoming increasingly selective who we work with. I think they have to represent our values. We have to have brand alignment, and so brands that recognise that are sincere, they have integrity, they are pushing boundaries, and they're innovative. Those are critical sort of values for us. I think we have to see there's a win-win as well. If there are things that we can do together to help each other out, that's the perfect scenario for us. So I guess the answer to the question is we work with a small number of brands who share our values and share our vision as well. The answer to that is yes and no. So we, in as much as there's not a points mechanism where points turn into free mugs if you buy enough petrol. That's not the loyalty kind of mechanism that we have in place. We do track our member usage and our data very, very closely, and so on a monthly basis we know who's been the most regular attendee at the club, we know who's been the biggest spender at the club, and we do find ways of rewarding those people. So whether it's a bottle of champagne or whether it's we comp them dinner, so we do have mechanisms. It's perhaps not the same kind of formal loyalty program that you might find in other kind of retail environments, if you will. Everybody sort of forewarned me that the hardest thing about this business in Singapore would be staffing, and I listened to them, and then I kind of ignored them, and they were right. It's a very hard industry to find talent. It's a very hard industry to retain talent, and I think in general we've done an exceptionally good job. I think we have the strongest team now that we've ever had. We have a lot of longevity in our key staff, and I'd say we've had no regrettable losses in our senior management. So there's a lot of good things that are going on here, but it unquestionably it's been the hardest thing we've had to deal with. I think in the early days there was a little bit of there was a question mark in terms of, is Singapore ready for a members club? So when you're first to market, then there's always that nervousness as an entrepreneur. Are we too early? Is the market ready for us? Is the addressable market size big enough? I think we've proven that. We've proven that a long time ago. But I think the hardest thing on an ongoing basis is definitely hiring talent and retaining talent. How long do we have? I mean, it's such a long question, there are so many facets to answer. I think it's an amazing team that's come together. It's a fantastic property. It's a great location. The timing was right. My partner's doing an amazing job in terms of building the community and creating the programming. I think that I think the design is outstanding. Chef's doing a fantastic job. Our landlord is hugely supportive. Our drinks provider, Proof and Co, have been amazing. So I think being on one floor was really, really powerful. I didn't realize quite how much of a benefit that has been until I sort of looked at other places and been to other locations. So I think it's a combination of those factors, and those, I guess, it's trying to as we look now to expand the business, it's trying to understand why we've been successful here, and make sure that, in the next location the property is right and the location is right and the partners are all, share the same values that we do. And I think it was, I think, I won't say we got lucky here, but we just need to make sure that when we look at our next locations and our next cities that we expand into, that we have all the core elements and all the core facets that made us successful here, in place in Jakarta or Bangkok or Manila as we look to roll out 1880. Yeah, I think when Mark and I first looked at this venture, we spoke about tested the idea with a number of people, thought leaders in the city, and some of them, they just kind of, they had no idea what we were talking about, and some people, in general, I guess the more international crowd, people who've been educated in the UK or worked in New York or been members of Soho House in LA, they got it straight away. They go, oh, Singapore's been waiting for a club like this for a long time. So we identified 40 what we called honorary members, which was comprised 21 Singaporeans and 19 non-Singaporeans, 20 males, 20 females, across 24 different industries. From the theatre to entrepreneurs, to private banking, to the blockchain world, we all industries kind of that we think represent sort of the Singaporean economy were part of our honorary members, and really through their networks and their communities, the club has grown. We're careful to make sure that these 40 honorary members represent the same values that we have, as people and as the 1880 brand. And as a result, we have a very interesting group of people who share the same kind of sensibilities, and that's really, it's been very, very seamless, very, very organic. Member invites member, and we're getting to a stage now where we're in a position to close membership in a couple of months' time, because we're approaching capacity. So it seems to have worked. Well, it's taken us about 2 years, and we probably could have done faster, but I think it's more important to curate that membership and that community, and keep raising the bar, and make sure that every new member is adding something fresh and something different to the community. I think you'll know better than I do, but I think we've done a pretty good job of making sure that the right people are here at the club. Yeah, it becomes more and more difficult. I walk into the members' lounge now, and when we first opened, I knew everybody, and when I look around now, I perhaps will recognise a third of the members, and that's I guess it's a good thing. If I still knew everybody, then we would be stuck at 400 founding members. But no, I think the personalisation is important. We think about. I spend half my day thinking about the business and half my day putting myself in the shoes of a member, and try to understand the membership experience. And we want as a team to make sure that we are going beyond just creating a destination that people can eat and drink and go to programming. It is very much about trying to understand who is who, what they do, and how people can work together. And so whether that's Liz today, for example, was introduced me to a fascinating guest of hers, who's creating an award here for truth in the written word. And I know immediately there are 2 or 3 members who she must be introduced to. That requires the time that it takes to know our members and to know what their interests are and what they do. But I think that's the magic sauce in the club, the ability to make those really relevant connections, to be able to create something bigger than just somewhere where people come and eat and drink. Well, part of the answer to that is around how we scale the business. And I've just talked about sort of how personal connections and relationships are. as we look to move to other cities, I think the need to be able to have technology which allows us to support the very analog way we do business at the moment is critical. And I think when I think about a sort of provenance perspective, I think I live in Sweden. More and more frequently, so I go to a restaurant and firstly the menu changes on a regular basis because of what raw materials and ingredients are available. But people, I think, want to know where their food comes from, where their ingredients come from, where their meat was sourced. And I think with technology and blockchain, the ability to have a full visibility on where all your ingredients come from becomes more and more relevant. And people want they want great, tasty food, but they also want to know where their ingredients are sourced from. And we see that increasingly here in Singapore as well, where people are asking the question, where did you get your where did the lamb come from? Where you're sourcing your vegetables from. And so I think the ability to be able to have that totally transparent supply chain becomes more and more relevant in today's world.
As you've heard from Luke, 1880's brand is very much aligned with Dragonchain. We look forward to bringing people together, inspiring conversations, and taking action to make the world a better place.
All four.
We're live.
Is that right? 7:20 to 9.
All right. Hello. So we're now going to do a giveaway, and there's a little process here. So first, Brandon is going to show live the selection for, and hopefully this person's watching.
Yes. If you're not watching, Brandon's going to repick, so stay tuned.
And I think we have to give about 2 minutes or so.
2.5, 3 minutes,
Yeah.
just to make sure.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're watching, then please message us in the YouTube chat live and/or in Telegram. Tell us you're online. And while we wait, Sieng has some more to talk about.
Yes. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thanks to the team. We're all working really, really hard, and Joe for this great concept. As you all saw, we've opened our Singapore office at 1880, and that is to coincide with a number of things, but one of those things is our first signed commercial contract in Singapore. So I'm pleased to announce that we've signed a company called Yoke Impact, which was part of the M2030 initiative. They will be going through digital transformation using Dragonchain. And they control 80% of the recycling, textile recycling business. And we're going to digitally transform their business and put a lot of their data on the blockchain and create a blue ocean strategy for them. So we look forward to working with them and helping them thrive along with Dragon and other blockchain companies. Other businesses that want to use Dragonchain. So if you're a Singaporean company, come by and visit us. And if you're not and you're out of town, make an appointment. And if you're interested in setting up in Singapore, reach out to us.
All right, it looks like, what's the delay? We want to make sure there's enough time for Menno van Ginkel
It's been about 2 minutes
to
now.
check in. It's been about 2 minutes?
Yeah, Menno Van
Here.
Ginkel.
Okay, do we draw another?
Let's maybe give it like another 30 seconds here.
30 seconds. Okay. Do you have more you can talk about?
Yeah, sure. I guess I don't know if everyone's clear about why 1880 now, what we're going to be doing there. So on a regular basis, we'll be hosting workshops. We've done blockchain brunch there before. Phenomenal turnout. One of first blockchain brunch, we had Dr. Alan Day, the Google advocate for blockchain. So Singapore is a hub for the region and the regional headquarters of virtually all of the top tech companies, Google, Facebook, they're all there in a very, very small concentrated place. So we look forward to having all of these pioneering tech companies come together and work with the new contenders, the new sort of innovative companies.
All right.
Menno not here apparently,
So we're gonna go ahead and run it again.
There's 800 something.
we can talk about the show itself. So the intent is to push all content through this show. We're going to improve as we move along. This was first. We wanted to keep it simple. And so all of the content, whether it's an interview, an AMA, a panel, some event where we're speaking, or potentially some of the meetups. We're talking about recording those and then putting sections in the show, and also some surprises, some interesting things, announcements, and basically to stream it every Thursday at this time, with unless everybody's out or if the holiday or something else, we'll have a live stream at the end where we either do an AMA from things during the show, or we do other things, but giveaway or something else. So that's what the intent of the show is, so we can basically keep everything in one place instead of having a bunch of small videos that you never know when they come out and stuff like that. So hopefully we can improve and keep it moving.
Great. And do you think our audience would be interested in some of the partners and clients that we will meet along the way? I mean,
Maybe.
So should we?
Yeah, I mean, they do have interest, and it's all a matter of, who we talk to and whether they.
Because there's a AI health company that we're going to be working with, and sort of taking them to Vietnam to deploy their tech overlaid with Dragon.
Right.
So would we have a segment for that?
Absolutely. We also have some stuff coming up in late August with some gaming groups, some different interesting things. I know we're gonna all go to PAX, and we're going to do some really interesting things, pretty unique, and we'll probably have. And basically every announcement, every announcement will be on the show before, unless there's some important reason.
So this is going to be where they hear it first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So, all right, that is past 2 minutes. Not there.
No,
Matt is not there. Are you sure they're just not able to? Are you watching the program and
Yeah,
YouTube?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, we're watching.
Maybe we do something live off those watching on YouTube now, because the chances of it's 800.
But we already have it very
entries.
posted. I think we have to.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
800 something entries and 100 watches.
We could. We could. You know what we could do? We could give them a consolation prize. Is that what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could get a consolation prize. There you go. So everybody, so you're on another one.
Yeah, we're
Take
drawing
it off.
another one.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I have to get it.
Come on, you guys.
What have they missed, Joe?
Should we go over what the prizes are? Right now?
Yes,
I was
yes.
going to right before.
Yes.
Okay, so there is the prize that was learned about because someone who shall not be named, Jeffrey, accidentally leaked the big prize. So it is $1,001 worth of dragons, which is what approximate. I don't know what the current price is.
Over 100,000 dragons.
Okay. And then the second prize was 1,001 dragons, and the third prize is a mug. The latest mug which is the Dragon Energy Equals Love mug. Right?
Wow. So 3 prizes.
3 prizes.
So they missed out on one of those 3 prizes.
And we're gonna mix it up every week, so it'll be
Yes.
something different. Yeah, we have a couple of things that might be interesting, fun that are happening. So, we have a new one.
Brian Smecker.
Brian Smecker.
Brian, I hope you're on the line.
We hope you are too.
We need a better way to do this.
I agree.
It's tied in, because it's already hard to tie them together from Gleam.
One moment. Just gonna
It did work to get a lot of repetition of Super Happy Dragon Lucky in the Dragon Talk, right? That was pretty fun yesterday. But
So
as soon as we know who it is, we'll draw what the prize is.
okay.
Yes. People on the stream should see his name now on Gleam.
Okay. So I think we're now.
Yes, so we are gonna go back to you guys.
Okay.
All right, Brian.
Oh, from the order, yeah.
Brian Smecker.
Yep.
Brian Smecker wins.
Yeah,
Yes.
he just claimed it.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Brian.
Right on. Okay, so here's how we're going to
Yes.
do the drawing. Sieng's going to draw from a mug
From a mug.
Oh,
of
wait. What? He's from the. Is it the same one?
Make sure no one's faking it.
We'll
We
get
have to
the
verify.
judges.
We have to
His name
verify.
Brian is the same. That's I don't.
if he says it is, then
We'll have him verify.
We are going to verify.
Yes, don't worry.
So we are going to verify no matter what.
Sorry, guys, we're
Okay.
verifying. Don't
Sorry.
worry.
The judges had to double check something. So I have 3 cards prepared by Chad, and so all 3 of these cards will be in here for each of the prizes. And Sieng is going to draw. It's not this mug you're going to win. You're going to win the one that's online right now.
Okay. Brian, your prize, my friend, is a mug.
A mug.
A mug.
All right.
Oh dear.
Okay, so now we need to verify, because we want to be very transparent, so we want to verify. Well, here, go ahead. This one, we're going to throw that one down there. It's a mug.
Okay. I have a feeling. Oh dear, there's a mug again. I think Chad's messing with me again, Joe, every single time.
Yeah. No, really, what we were going to do, other than the fact that it was leaked, we were going to expose the prizes after, so you understand the mechanics. If you won the mug, the funniest thing was supposed to be that you win all the prizes. So we went ahead and just we had to flip the joke around, so you know. So Brian wins the mug, the 1,001 dragons, and the $1,000 worth of dragons. So we'll be in touch. We'll have to verify that it is you.
Brian's
everything else.
confirmed.
Brian's confirmed. So
Brian.
before we're done. That's great.
Brian, you are one hell of a lucky dragon.
Right on.
Right.
So
Right on.
now we sign off. How do we sign off? This is still the pilot, so
Yeah.
we'll think of these things, right?
Your magic. That's it. There we
Right
go.
All right, someone needs to
Thank
make
you.
a gift for that.
What's that?
Someone needs to make a gift for that.